Hello and welcome back to RTR, Rule the Rails with me, Felonious the Wizard, and my plans for the future. It's more or less time for that. I'm sorry that I couldn't do any video this week. I had a hell of a duty roster, so I was too tired, it was too hot and all that. So what I have been doing is this is the only thing that I've been doing, some repainting. I didn't even bother with that one, and these are more Swedish like, as I should probably say. This green cargo up there should actually be in somewhere in Sweden, so that should be fine. And I've also made some postal, northern postal, or Post Nord as they're called, some wagons. But Post Nord doesn't really use railways. They are mostly on the roads. DHL the same thing, but shorter distances. Long distances, both of these companies is actually using the railroad because, I mean, come on, it's 2,200 kilometers long country if you go from one end to the other. And if you want to send grandma a present for Christmas, you can't just hope that it should go by road. This one I have to redo a bit. It's a shell, as you can see. It should be a long one, but that black stuff over there should probably not be there. I'll fix that later on. And the text should be higher up. I didn't bother, that's all. And then the three smaller ones, that's Coccio, that's a chocolate drink. Very good, I like it. But I doubt that we do have any rail tanks with this. But according to the Italian company Rocco, who makes model railway things, they say that there should be one, so I thought the same. British Petroleum, BP, is no longer with us, but there might actually be standing somewhere on the sideline old BP tanks. You never know. They have been taken over by something called Q-Star. That also, I'm not really sure how much they use the roads or the railroads. Nevertheless, that's what we want. And this is our type of boxcar. It says SG, Swedish railroads, on them, and I've tried to make them as well as good as I could. The roof is still there. So this is an old boxcar, and as you can see, it actually has two wheel pairs, and I don't like that. I wanted to have one, so I'll see what I can do about that one. I don't like that. So all these has now been added to my sort. These are old, from the original Rule the Rail, so yeah, that should not be a problem anymore. Now let's go over to my future plans, because I'm not really sure that I should do a lot of more videos. I'm not really 100% sure about it. Now, as you can see, here is a Q-Star. There's an old BP over at the end, and here we have the shell, and then there's some black unlabeled stuff. That's always cool. Could be crude oil, I don't know. But this is still the oil yard. Over here we have some cars still there, and here we have a whole bunch of these nice ones. They should probably be connected, but they are not. Okay. That one should also be with us. So we have a bunch, and there we have some Coccio. That's always cool, and a couple of DHL there. The postal trains are down here. I would love to have the Acela train. Yes, the Acela engine. because it looks a lot like the BR1s we have here in Sweden, but I suspect I need to go and find something that looks more like the BR1s. Let me show you what I'm thinking. These are just RC2, RC3 boots. You have to be with me here. We have, let's see if I can find it, an Hector Rail. Now Hector Rail is no longer with us, but I did a Hector Rail repaint of the TS01, and it looks a lot, but it's a diesel. I don't want a diesel. So that looks a bit like the BR1s, but the BR1s are not diesels. Totally useless. And it says Hector Rail, and I don't like that either. So perhaps I could repaint the TS01 or not. But until then, we just drive that with our RC. And these are not the green cargo. In Europe, not all over the Europe, but most Europe, you can actually hire an engine, hire some carriages, wagons, and then you can go take your own train around if you are a company, which is pretty cool. Here I have added some more green cargo stuff, so they are pretty much finished to go off. We have the Maersk over here. I should need an ending carriage to that one later on, but and I don't really like how these containers ended up in the end. Totally wrong. Never mind, we'll fix that later. It seems like they are pushing themselves downwards, but they weren't like that when I put them there. Nevertheless, my plans for this map. Whoops. It's 2. I should probably say, because it's usually is. As you probably know, let's start with... No, we'll take that thing that I talked about last time. I will build as much as I can on each square where there's nothing. Perhaps I'll just get another farm over here. Over here we will just have a forest or whatever. Up here we will have some cottage, I don't know, some gravel roads perhaps, or something like that. Up here we need a bigger village. Here we really need something else, a tourist attraction of sorts. We'll see. And up here we also need more of the same. So that's okay. Now, I will do that later on. Here we have a big farm. I should make more of his, well, the pastures and stuff, because I haven't done that. I just put up some fences and put some, I think it's cows, but I'm not totally sure, inside there. So that's point 1. Point 2. This is a playground. And in order to get the playground to work, I have reason to believe that this is not going to be easy. This is not going to be good. Because I might actually have to have the cargo train going back up again. Cargo 1 and cargo 2. So when cargo 2 comes here and stops, I hope it's still there. Yes, it is. Thank you. It should actually be either going down playing with the cargo, or just send it away again so it will come down a second time. Yeah, or something like that. But then I was thinking, the main line is actually, it's not that busy. Yes, there is a train coming each 3rd minute, like this one. Now this one comes, and in 3 minutes time its predecessor or whatever is coming again, and you can probably see it up here coming around. then we know that it has 1.5 minutes until it gets down. The problem is I have 2 X74s going on one line and then the RC, the intercity one, going on the other, because they are of different speeds. That's the reason. And I can see with my own eye that it's going, well, it's not going perfectly clock right. So I was thinking about reshaping it all. Yes, I want them to have automatically. I want this line to do it automatically. But I want an intercity on one intercity train and one X74 matrix train on each line. But since they are not having the same speed, we have to make sure that they don't bump into each other, start hooking up with each other or something like that. I can't see our intercity. It should be here by now, shouldn't it? Well, you never know. Yeah, here it comes. As you can see, the timing isn't really good. And I was thinking, what if I want to put in a postal train both ways? So there should be 3 different trains on each line, going in different speeds, of course, but also having a bit of a not colliding with each other and stuff. So this is what I am going to do. This is intention, at least. I want 1 intercity, 1 matrix train and 1 postal train on each line. In order to do that, let's go inside the mountain. Normally when you do this in your own little thing, your own builder, you have, let's say that you have a whole bunch of lines going out here for just for standing still, not doing much. Like a garage, you have all the rolling stock besides. What I've been thinking, as you can see, this one is moving way too slow, but it's because it has to, otherwise it'd be way too fast for the intercity that has this speed all the time because it has more wagons. So I was just trying to make sure. What I want is, of course, to have full speed on everything. So what I need to do is, of course, to make sure that we have 3 separate stops over here somewhere. Instead of just going straight down from here, you make sure that you go straight out and have 3 different places to put the 3 trains. That means we can have full power on each of our tracks, but here we have different types of controls. That means that the next train that comes over here will push another train out in a specific order. And since we have IDs, you can have intercity train being ID 1, the matrix train being ID 2, and the postal train being ID 3. So when the intercity trains comes over here, it will then control the power on one of these 3. It will then start, let's say it starts the ID 3 trains. So it goes, pushes out the postal train. So now it's the postal train coming down while the intercity goes into parking. And then when the postal train comes this way again, it will then start the matrix train. And the matrix train, on the other hand, is quicker, so it will probably catch up with anything. So perhaps you should do something else. Same goes for the other way. Here it's easy to do it. You just make sure that you have out, parking, in again on this one, and downwards. Here is worse, because here, oops, here we have it on the inside of the spiral, and there's not that much space. But we can start already down here, putting out, making spaces for 3, and that means that when a train comes down here, it will then send a signal to shove away the next train. And of course, if you have like ID1, ID3, ID2 on the other track, you can change these so you have ID1, ID2, ID3, or the opposite around, whatever you want. That way you can have them coming different trains. So suddenly down here there might be 2 different trains meeting. Now these 6 trains are automatic. I should not be able to, I shouldn't be bothered to do anything. But let's say that I want to. Let's say that I really would love to have, well, I don't know, the postal train going up to E-Town instead. No, I shouldn't. I just make sure that I have a separate train. A separate train that is connected inside here. And when a goods train gets in here, it stops, sends the postal train away, because that one will go faster. It's okay. And then after 10-30 seconds or something like that, that one goes. Now the problem with this is that if you are having an ID3, that should not be stopped over here. It should just continue. So hopefully we don't have a lot of carriages and stuff being shunted down here at the same time. That could be fun, but not that fun. Big rebuild, but I want to use the fact that we are having all this stuff. That's one of the things that I'm thinking of. And then, of course, I want track 2 to connect again to track 1 and make it go. Well, I haven't time for you. You have to go one more turn because I'm shunting down here and I don't want any more. Now this might be a bit of a trouble, but I'll test one thing at a time, and that should be fine. And when everything is working and shunting is fun and all that, perhaps I start build again. But all this is not necessary for you to follow me through, because you know, most of you, how you build around this. If you have any idea or thoughts on this, or if you want to see me do this, we might actually be able to do this later on in a stream, because soon I am retired, which means that I have most of my free time, spare time, totally fine. Oh yeah, should be fine, should be very good. So we'll see what this brings up later on. That's that. Otherwise everything seems to be fine. I think it works great. It looks nice. All I need to do now is to learn how to shunt, which might not sound like a big thing, but I need to count that I have 40 wagons while I'm shunting. Where should I put them? How should I put them? And so on. Who is going to connect? I mean, you have to build the train over here somehow. So you have to shunt one thing at a time over there somehow. Fun. Perhaps we are going to have some Q-Star tanks inside the whole thing, and a whole bunch of container, and some empty wagons as well. We'll see. Perhaps I'll do a little short video like RTR Fan 739 does when it passes by the camera. It's rather nice to see it that way. So when you're just driving around, it will pass by the camera, the big thing, probably over here, I guess. Yes, I guess. Right, that's it. Take care, and we'll see whenever I get the feeling of making yet another video, and when I get the time to start building this. At the moment everything is working good, so yeah. Right, thanks for watching. Bye.